Hey, it's professional wrestler Colt Boom Boom Cabana, and you are watching WrestleTalk. Congratulations, you got here. Now, subscribe and support. Thanks.
Yo, this is the cream in your coffee, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, the Jewish canon, the physical embodiment of charisma, the most entertaining man in professional wrestling, the Bernie Sanders of professional wrestling, the best of the best, Mr. American Rana, Davey Wrestling, the 104-minute man, the main event. I'm really good at Twitter, the king of taunts, the product, David Starr. And support WrestleTalk and go subscribe.
Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
What is happening with WWE's Backstage SmackDown Crisis? I'm Ollie Davis. This is Chopper Pete Quinnell, King Chopper Whopper, King Chopper on this side of the desk.
I know,
it's
isn't
weird
it
to
nice?
see you over here.
I know.
Please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment saying what you think's happening backstage in WWE right now. Because in just a few weeks' time, at the start of October, October 4th, the Friday, SmackDown will move to Fox. Shortly before then, NXT is going from 1 hour to 2 hours every week on the USA Network, a much more high-profile show. And somewhere in the midst of all that, there's this little thing called AEW that's going to launch as well. And there's going to be more competition. There's also football season, which historically every year means that WWE's ratings are down because everyone goes to watch the football and WWE suffer. And they like every year they go, well, we're not going to bother for the next 4 months. We'll kick back up around Royal Rumble time. And this year they're not going to be able to do that because you've got AEW. Oh, and Vince McMahon's launching his own football league.
Oh yeah, that's also a thing that's happening.
So there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes. We always talk about the wrestlers, the storylines, stuff in front of the camera, stuff with the performers behind the camera, but we don't often get to talk about, honestly, what I find one of the most fascinating parts of wrestling, and that is like the backstage office. The politics of the water cooler chat. I love it. It's because like I think everyone, if you like wrestling the way we do, which is where we want to find out every real life detail behind the storyline stuff that's presented to us, there's no limit really to how far behind the curtain you can peek. Mm-hmm. And this for me represents, okay, I've peeked behind the curtain and I've seen Gorilla Position. There's Vince, there's Michael P.S. Hayes, there's a couple of the wrestlers. Peeked into the locker room. Oh, there's a few bits of tension going on there. They're mostly playing video games these days. And then, like, right at the back of the building is where the 25 writers are locked away, and they're probably like, oh, I don't like this person, or I'm going to make an allegiance with this person. And that's effectively the story that's come out this week, because on Tuesday, after months, really, of reports of Vince McMahon reportedly ripping up the script a few hours before SmackDown goes on air and completely rewriting it, he's finally shaken up the whole, really, WWE creative backstage staff, predominantly SmackDowns.
Yeah, I mean, it was a series of weeks where I'd be doing the SmackDown news section, and it would just be like getting where stories like, oh, Vince McMahon's torn up SmackDown again for about the third week in a row. Awesome. That was like a guaranteed story I'd have every week. It's about, well, I'm probably going to have to write about Vince again. Yeah. So now he's actually shaking it up because clearly he's not very happy with it.
There's only so many Angry Vince thumbnails. That one.
I struggled to find this picture for this one.
There are no more angry shots of Vince that we haven't used.
He just needs to be more angry on camera again.
I remember you, because like every Wednesday, I think it was, when you were writing your news, I'd see the title of the news and it would be Vince McMahon rips up script. I'm like, oh, that's a sexy title.
Yeah.
The week after, Vince McMahon last minute changes. Oh, even better. But then like by the 4th or 5th week, you're like, I don't think this is a story anymore.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so that one's my first story. Then what's my actual big story at this point? Yeah, it's got ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah. So this isn't obviously something that's just happened this week, because Vince is very well known for just waking up one day and deciding, no, I'm going to change everything. This has actually sort of been in the works since WrestleMania time, or probably even before, because Road Dogg... So the backstage structure of SmackDown for the longest time, since the split, really, back in 2016, has been Ryan Ward, who is credited for NXT's first rise in popularity. So that sort of 2014, 15, 16 period where you got Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, the Four Horsewomen. He's sort of credited for a lot of those ideas. So he's always been someone I personally look at and go, he's a good writer. Of course, he was pretty much left to his own devices in NXT during those days. You had Steve Guerreri, I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't know much about him, but he was sort of like a co-lead writer. And then later on, you had the Road Dogg, Jesse James, former DX member, sort of be added as a backstage producer and kind of overseer of all of this. Like, it can contribute ideas as well. And there was a popular meme that whenever SmackDown did something bad, we'd all blame Road Dogg. And initially, that maybe it was true because he didn't do himself any favors on social media and defending his position. But then, like, after a while, you're like, oh, no, we can't just say, when things are good, we can't just say, well, Road Dogg wasn't there that week.
He just decided to have a day off and suddenly it was much better.
Yeah. But in sort of the recent time, so late 2018 through the start of this year, SmackDown wasn't... Well, it was good, but apparently a lot of stuff was being changed backstage again. And this led, just after, when was it? Just after WrestleMania. Let me find the bit here. I missed it. Yeah, so at WrestleMania, Road Dogg effectively stepped down from his producer role, and everyone was like, huh, that's weird. Like, he was actually seen as quite a good person in that role by the end. But reportedly, of course, this isn't him coming out and saying it, because he is still with the company. He stepped down because of immense frustration over Vince literally tearing apart his scripts every week, stuff he's worked on. And then Vince McMahon would blame him for continuity issues.
It's such a Vince thing to do, isn't it? He can never blame it on himself. He's just like, no, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Why isn't it good? I don't know. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact you just tore up my script.
Yeah. Why is this thing I keep changing every week not making sense? Make it work, minions. But yeah, so like now Road Dogg works in NXT and he seems to be much happy. He has actually said in interviews he's so much happier working down there because he gets to be really hands-on with the talent, and you can sort of guide and contribute ideas, and it seems to be a lot more rewarding. Then a couple of months after that was April, that was when Steve Guerreri, the other lead writer on SmackDown, was fired. Just like, let go. And then shortly after that, that's when Vince McMahon announces on the investors call that he's going to make Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff executive directors of Raw and SmackDown, respectively.
Now, we've heard a lot about Heyman since the executive director role has come up, and we've heard that he's been very hands-on, and he's been trying to get people on his brand, and he's very high on certain talents, and he's been very hands-on, and people have seen him backstage. But we've not really heard anything about Bischoff. There was a lot of stories going around that Bischoff wasn't actually going to be involved in the creative side of it at all, and he was just a figurehead that they could use to say, we've got Bischoff now. But now it seems like Bischoff is sort of there, but also not. It's very confusing.
Yeah, he's got a confusing role to figure out because, like, yeah, the Wrestling Observer said that he's only sort of a go-between man between Fox, the new network, because Bischoff's history really is in TV production, not wrestling, and WWE. But he won't have any influence on the creative process. But that doesn't mean he's not sort of he's not people's boss. And it seems, according to this new article from The Wrap that came out shortly after the reports of the big backstage shakeup, that he has been responsible for one hire, at least one hire, and that is a writer from Sons of Anarchy. Did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
No, I didn't.
I didn't, but it was a very well-respected, well-received sort of Hell's Angels motorbike gang drama. And Eric Bischoff, famously, loves motorbikes.
Hog Wild, man.
Hog Wild.
What a great show.
Aces and Eights in TNT.
Yeah.
And, so he's hired this writer called Stevie Long. But on the guy's first day on the job Michael P.S. Hayes, veteran producer backstage in WWE and agent, found him asleep in the writer's room on his first day on the road with WWE.
So, I mean, that could be... See, I was going to try and make an excuse for him and just be like, it's so tiring traveling around, doing all this work all the time. But it is his first day, so I don't really know what his excuse is, really.
Yeah. Well, even if you put that to one side, he could have just been resting. He thought he had the room to himself. Got up super early, maybe, to start his new day at WWE.
Maybe.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
He packed
maybe
his
had a sugar
lunchbox.
crash. Yeah, maybe just ate too much carbonara. Happens to me all the time. But it's more that Hayes him falling asleep isn't really an issue to me. Well, it is, but that's not the story here. Hayes finding him asleep, and then people using that as an example to question, because that's the other thing. Apparently, there's growing questions about Bischoff's leadership backstage in SmackDown.
Yeah.
And this is one of those bits of evidence they use to point to for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a Bischoff thing to just get in the writer from Sons of Anarchy, because it's probably his favorite show in ever. So he's like, well, it was really good. So if we get the writer, therefore WWE is going to be flawless. It's a great plan. And then he can sit back and do nothing because he's got his writer to get for him and just be like, hey, write my shows for me. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I think in Bischoff's head, this is a great acquisition. But I think pretty much everyone else is going, maybe not.
Yeah, and it's just, whatever it is, it seems to have jarred with the backstage team. Because, the other thing, the odd man out in all of this, I'll just run through what's happened elsewhere backstage. So Raw, under Paul Heyman's executive directorship, is now being written by Jonathan Bakestrom. He was the head writer of 205 Live since the beginning. So November 2016 when it launched. Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard has spoken about this a lot. Heyman's tendency to find younger writers and sort of go, yeah, you're mine.
Yeah.
You're mine. And he'll use his incredible cult leader-like verbiage to just convince them. And, when people say, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, you're essentially saying, I've joined a cult to this insanely charismatic Paul Heyman person.
Yeah.
That's what ECW was.
Yeah.
ECW was this cult led by Paul Heyman, and that's why people would effectively go out and kill themselves in the ring. They'd work for no money. When paycheck after paycheck after paycheck bounced, they'd be like, but Paul's a good guy. When it's Paul who's signing these checks he knows won't clear. When Tommy Dreamer, when Paul Heyman betrayed Tommy Dreamer, when Heyman secretly took a job with WWE and Dreamer was doing all he could to keep ECW alive.
Yeah.
And Heyman's like, yeah, no, it's all cool, man. Heyman is a creative genius, but there's a lot of stories where he's screwed a lot of people over and is quite an abhorrent businessman. Anyway, that's by the by. He gets these people. Bakestrom appears to be one of these guys that he's cherry picked because when he took over, this is the report, when he took over Raw in June, when that Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley angle, when it was a real, hey, I'm riding Raw now, folks.
Corey Graves said the S word, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And that was when he started using Bakestrom on Raw. And 205 Live has effectively lost Bakestrom, and now they've just made it official. Bakestrom is I think I'm pronouncing that right, by the way, is the lead writer on Raw underneath Heyman.
Great British Bakestrom. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was just in my head.
And the former head writer of Raw, Ed Koskey, who's been around forever, almost 20 years, is now heading up SmackDown under Bischoff. So we've had Road Dogg stepping down, Steve Guerrero was fired, Ryan Ward, who was the last remaining person of that original SmackDown trio, he has taken a leave of personal absence. What's the exact quote, actually?
And it doesn't exactly surprise me that he would need to. From all the reports of all the writers pitching all this stuff for SmackDown week to week, and having Vince McMahon tear up your work repeatedly. That is an awful amount of stress to put on anyone. And you've heard stories of people like Ed Koskey when Vince or Triple H and Stephanie, I think there was a certain week where no one in a position of power was actually at the show. Ed Koskey was the one who had to write the show. So it's like now he's become the big guy on SmackDown, possibly been rewarded for his running of the shows. But now Ryan Ward, who's continually had his work torn up, despite it being quite good, looking at his history, now he's kind of been demoted almost. He's got other people that's taken his position. So now he's like, well, what else? What else do I do now?
Yeah, I think also you can't look... I don't know that this is just me speculating here based on a pattern of behavior and cultural, like corporate culture, that Vince McMahon will run very, very hot on someone. And he'll be like, you're the best. Yes, you're my favorite new toy. And we see it with wrestlers all the time, but it's from what I've read, it's similar with backstage stuff. And then he'll turn on them. And it sounds like he turned on whatever SmackDown was doing that Ryan Ward was a part of at the start of this year.
Yeah.
So to have Vince McMahon constantly berating you, yeah, I think he's like, for me, I wouldn't be shocked if Ryan Ward never comes back to the promotion.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm done. Just like, screw you guys. There was another writer who was let go after WrestleMania for something. As it was like a really small incident, wasn't it?
It was him scripting Bret Hart's Hall of Fame speech and including Vince McMahon's name in it, which you would think would be totally normal and something that should actively be encouraged to thank the person that's in charge of the company. But apparently not. No, he was let go for that.
And DX made jokes about that. They said Vince McMahon's name over and over again in their Hall of Fame
Exactly.
speech.
But they can get away with it because they're DX.
But yeah, he was fired. And that's like how, that was a Vince directive because he hates his name being mentioned in Hall of Fame speeches.
For some reason.
It's like I get you want to be humble. That's quite admirable, but come on. A man lost his job. Like, that's a serious thing.
Yeah.
So the report is Ward will be taking a short-term leave of absence. That's from Pro Wrestling Sheet and The Wrap. Squared Circle Sirens have added that Ryan Ward actually recently got married. So he could have been angling for time off anyway, and this just could be a honeymoon thing. However, The Wrap then wrote, should he return, which doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? I mean, like, you read some of these articles and you got to think, who is your source? Is it Ryan Ward himself? Is what I question.
Yeah.
The Wrap says, should he return, he will likely join the home team, or the company's non-traveling group of writers. So you've got the road team, which is sort of like your A team. They're there to make the script edits on the day and come up with the main direction. And then you've got the home team who don't travel. They're not on the road. And they contribute ideas from afar.
Yeah.
That would be considered a major step down for Ward, who reassumed his position as SmackDown head writer earlier this year.
Yeah, and that would be a massive shame for someone who has been, accredited, as you said earlier, for one of NXT's most popular periods and the rise of NXT to what it is now. To have someone like that who then went on to SmackDown. And SmackDown, since the brand split, was always like the better show for a long time. So whether Ward was responsible for that as well, it's another kind of feather in his cap. And for him now to just be like, no, you're not good enough. Back to the home team you go. That's such a shame for him.
Yeah, and you got to think what that does to a work environment backstage. Like, there's 25 writers apparently in WWE, and now going to be more definitively split between the brands. So you've got at least 12 people there who've just seen 3 people leave in some fashion, or replaced, fired, or stepped down.
Yeah.
Like, what does that do? That's not a nice environment to work in. I'm all for competitiveness, but like, I don't want people to be like, I'm going to lose my job on the edge of their seats.
Yeah.
The other thing, amidst all of this chaos, the backstage changes, Vince McMahon tearing these scripts up, has been what the Wrap have reported, how badly the Roman Reigns mystery attacker storyline has been received backstage.
I mean, it's been received poorly front stage as well.
Yeah.
From the viewers, we all didn't really like it as well, so that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
No.
And that's effectively what the Wrap's report says. And they put a lot of that blame on Eric Bischoff. So it is very confusing what Bischoff's actual role is. Maybe he's not in creative, but he's ultimately responsible for creative.
Maybe.
But then what's Vince doing there every week, ripping up scripts?
It's so confusing. But I mean, if Bischoff has to sign off the episodes, then that nullifies what Vince is doing. But if Bischoff isn't signing off the episodes, then that's just Vince, and Bischoff then doesn't have a role. So unless he's just a scapegoat, because that is very much a Vince thing to do, looking at previous history, he could just be a guy to blame things on, so Vince doesn't have to blame himself.
That's totally
Possibly.
That could be definitely true. Like a sort of fool guy if the SmackDown first couple of months on Fox doesn't rate that well.
Yeah, something for the for like an investors call. They'd be like, "Oh, this ratings have dropped for SmackDown." But it's Bischoff.
But we've got rid of him.
We've
now.
got rid of him now, so now it'll be on the upturn. It's another layer that he's got, another excuse to give the investors as to why things are failing.
Well, it's very exciting times, interesting times. Now, usually we would be doing either crap gimmick wrestling submissions or the Patreon mailbag here. We probably should have also said this at the start of the show. Luke's on holiday.
Yeah.
Luke's in Amsterdam this weekend, I'm sure.
Damn him.
Yeah. God, the puns
I'm on
today.
form today, mate. It's great.
So he has all the crap gimmick submissions, and he has the authentication code for Patreon. So we can't get into either of those things. That's bad planning on our part.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, and by the way, everyone who says, "Oh, like you're dropping crap gimmicks," again, it's not. We're not dropping crap gimmicks. We're actually got plans to do big things with crap gimmicks, but it's because people are the Patreon questions are actually more important because they're Patreons. So that's why we're answering those. But we have neither this week. So Pete has arranged.
I've arranged something else for you. I went on Twitter, the old Twitter machine earlier, and I said, without Luke here, everything falls apart, as usual. So, we need your questions. So, we've got some questions from Twitter instead. So, we've got one from @JSabah. There's multiple A's on that.
I got that.
Who said, what's your opinion on Cody versus Jericho for the title already in AEW?
Yeah, so this was announced yesterday, being Friday. But ahead of, I think it's a great move to announce that on the day your tickets go on sale. I'm really interested. So when we're recording this, we don't know how the AEW Full Gear ticket sales have done on the first day, but they've sold out in record times for every show. And this is the first one of the TV era. It feels like the new season of AEW. Second album's always more difficult. So I'd be very curious to see. So they've front-loaded it with announcements. You're going to get Moxley versus Omega, and Cody versus Jericho for the AEW World Title.
I think it's a smart move, because I think Cody's been built up to be a pretty big deal from the match that he's had. I mean, he's had pretty much match of the night on almost all the pay-per-views they've done so far. Yeah. Especially in some people's views, match of the night on every show that he's had. So I think it makes sense for him to go on for the championship. I don't think he's going to win. I think Jericho is going to retain and kind of make the title a bit more prestigious so they don't try and hotshot it in the early days of it. But I think...
Sorry, you're saying champion wrong?
El Champion. He's going to retain his championship. A little bit of the bubbly, etc. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a big star for Jericho to beat to make himself look better, so that eventually when he does lose it, it's going to elevate someone else.
Yeah, you want a heel champion for a while. If you ask me immediately after All Out, what do you think of Jericho as champion? I'd be like, I guess he'd have to keep it for a while. Have a good run on top, and then Omega beats him eventually. Yep. Have that nice mirror image to the New Japan feud they had. But since he lost the belt, since a little bit of the bubbly, since champion, I am all in on Chris Jericho's new character. Pun intended.
Good. It's
amazing.
So good.
And I can't get enough of him right now. So I'm really excited to see his latest character reinvention. He's so smart at doing this.
I know. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah,
every time.
He's got endless ideas, creativity, and he works freaking hard at it. Yeah. If you've read his books. So who else is going to face Jericho for the first championship match? I can't come up with a better contender than Cody, because he has the best win-loss record. And that's what Tony Khan is going to base a lot of the booking around. Like, who is performing best from a stats perspective? So, it makes total logical sense. I love it, to be honest. And Tony Khan followed up the announcement. Did you see they didn't tweet it out as a match announcement? They gave it to Sports Illustrated. Yeah. Sports Illustrated has learned Sports Illustrated, Justin Barrasso's their wrestling guy, is WWE do that all the time with him.
Yep.
Because then these companies can say Sports Illustrated broke.
Yep.
Which makes it gives it a lot more PR credibility. So it's interesting to see AEW doing the same tact.
Yep.
Don't know if,
The same people as well.
it's a very minor dig at WWE.
It's good though.
But yeah, Khan said, look, he's the one with the best record, so he's going to face for the title.
Makes sense to me.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
My only concern is when I thought Cody goes for the title, that's when you have MJF turn on him, and that's when, but like to stop. That's how you protect him in defeat. But I don't want MJF and Cody to break up yet. I want that to be a year-long friendship first.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to do it, so we'll see.
Yeah. The next one comes in from Mayor of Painesville Dan, who says, "Is there any event on October 5th you'd like to recommend to us?"
Well, first of all, WrestleGate Pro.
Yeah.
That's on in the evening in Nottingham, in the UK.
The Rushcliffe Arena, I believe.
The Rushcliffe Arena, and it's going to have the final of the Emerald Grand Prix between Rampage and Lucas Steele, a mouth-watering heavyweight clash.
Great.
Secondly, I would recommend Frontline, the Will Ospreay founded promotion that has high-flying stars such as first ever WrestleTalk's scholarship winner Callum Newman and our new favourite wrestler, The Ojmo, or Ojim.
He's great.
But then, what I won't recommend is the WrestleRamble.
No.
The live WrestleRamble between those two shows with me and Luke. You can go and buy tickets. The link's in the video description below somewhere. I won't recommend it, but I would very much appreciate it if you come.
But also, if you get tickets for WrestleGate and for Frontline, you get to come to the WrestleRamble for free. So, there's that.
They're trying to give us away.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for that, Dan. At Unlawful Exile, who's my IRL friend, says, which wrestler would you most like and least like to be stuck in a lift with for 10 hours?
Most like? Who would you go
most
for?
and least like.
Least like Randy Orton.
Okay.
Lot of...
Handshaking.
He's gonna be a dick. A lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Xavier Woods, because he'll probably have some portable gaming thing on him.
That's a
and
great shout.
Yeah.
It's a great shout. He's probably got a switch on him. Most like to be in a lift with who has good conversations. I might say least like MJF, because I feel like he just antagonized me the whole time.
You'll come out feeling so bad about yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, it'd be interesting to be stuck in a lift with Vince for 10 hours.
Oh, I'd hate
and
it.
just ask him questions.
Just sneeze every so often to see how he reacts. I don't know about most, but definitely least is MJF. Yeah. Adam Thompson 98 says, who do you think the next 3 AEW World Champions will be? That could be a long time in the future.
I think Omega will beat Jericho next. Ooh.
It's so hard to say because we don't know where characters are going from him. We don't know who's going to be popular and what tag teams are going to split up or be formed or whatever. So it's very hard to say.
Really arbitrary.
Yeah.
I'd say Omega.
Yep.
Wild, or Dark Horse pick, rather. Pentagon Jr.
I like it.
Because then you can expand into sort of the Mexican market.
Yep.
Ooh, what about you? Can't think of a third.
Yeah,
Moxley?
I also think Omega first.
Oh, Punk.
Of course, yeah. Omega first, then I'm going to say Darby Allin.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I think he's gonna elevate himself up between now and whenever that is.
Blimey.
And he'll be one of the top stars moving forwards, as my bold prediction. And then after that, I don't know because it's too far in the future.
I think he'll be a T. Like they'll introduce a mid-card title for those sorts of guys.
Those guys, push them off.
The icky ones.
Real Black Conrad said, how does Oli feel about zebra print jackets? What size coat does he wear? Hashtag Revenge on Cultaholic.
Yeah, well, thanks for the sentiment. I feel bad about zebra print jackets because those sorts of lines, you know, when you get lines on TV screens and it makes it go,
Yeah.
yeah, that because I'm on the screen a lot.
Yeah.
So not good, unfortunately.
It's a shame. Just need to get that leopard print one back somehow.
That worked perfectly.
Our good friend Adam Pearson says, has wrestling made your life better? If not for wrestling, how do you think your life would have turned out? Love you guys. Keep on swafting.
Well, you know, my entire job and company and friends are all based around wrestling. So that's a big thing for the better.
Yeah.
How it would have turned out without wrestling.
It, I don't know, honestly. I mean, I think my number one obsession would probably just be Pokemon instead then. I mean, that's about it, really.
Yeah, I'd have probably gone more into the TV backstage production side of things, because that's where I was before this, and watched and reviewed a lot of movies online.
Yeah,
maybe
probably
had a podcast. Everyone's got a podcast.
Everyone's got a podcast, yeah. I think I might have done other content creation, but around Pokemon instead, probably. It's about that, yeah. Cartel Ponder Mike says, should Suzuki win the IWGP Championship before retiring, or be the only thing he couldn't put his hands on?
I would love to see him win the title. Has he never won it?
He's never won it. I looked it up as well, just in case they were mistaken, but he's never won it.
Well, then, yeah, without a doubt. Like, I know New Japan aren't in the spirit of, oh, you're really good, have a title.
Yeah.
Because it's quite tokenism then. But, man, if anyone deserves one, it's Suzuki.
It's been there for so long. Like,
at such an excellent level as well.
Yeah.
And he's still, like, you know, he's over 50, but he does not give off that impression.
Like, compare him to Undertaker. Like, it's night and day.
The same age.
Yeah. Night and day between them. So yeah, I think he's earned it. I know it's hard to say who's earned what in the wrestling industry, but I think if anyone has earned an IWGP heavyweight run, it's Suzuki. I'd love to see him have it before he retires, for sure. Peter Lewins says, who do you think will be the next big jump to AEW?
Apart from CM Punk.
Apart from CM Punk.
I'm gonna go. Well, are we classing Revival as a big jump?
That was going to be my answer. I think I class that as a big jump. I'd say any kind of relatively well-known act in WWE going to AEW would be considered a big jump. It's not like an indie signing. It's someone that we know from WWE going to AEW. So.
Okay, someone in the upper mid-card to main event of Raw, SmackDown, or NXT.
Oh.
Or New Japan. Not AJ.
No.
Because he's re-signed. Owens is re-signed.
Yeah. You
know what? Back in the day, I would have said Daniel Bryan.
Not anymore, though.
No.
I think he's staying. Sami Zayn?
I don't want him
he's
to leave.
He's not in the upper mid-card or main event. What am I talking about?
Yeah. Nakamura's comfortable where he is.
Yeah.
Maybe got to look at the NXT run of guys. But Adam Cole's been treated very well.
Well, the thing is, everyone's treated pretty well on NXT. It's when they get up to the main roster where things fall apart.
I mean, I would have said Sasha.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to say Sasha Banks still.
You reckon?
Yeah, maybe she just came back to sort of ride out her contract.
Running out of contracts, yeah, that's not a bad shout. I can't say. I'm going to... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Sasha Banks, yeah, sure. Tommy Kid 246 says, who do you think will be the next first-time world champion, preferably in WWE, but worldwide could also be nice?
Huh.
Yeah.
So someone who's never won the title before.
Someone who's never won a world title, who will be the next first-time champion?
Braun Strowman.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's
a really boring answer because I feel like he's already won it.
It does feel like he's at least a 3-time champion, but he's not.
I'll say then, to not have a boring answer, aside from Braun Strowman, I will say...
Can't say The Fiend, because Bray Wyatt's already won
He's already won it. Aleister Black.
It's a good shout. That's a much better answer than when you just didn't give one earlier.
Well, I couldn't think of one, okay? Shadman7000 says, which wrestler do you think will benefit more from NXT going to USA Network and becoming a 2-hour show? I think it's going to benefit Matt Riddle the most.
I can't really answer this because, as is quite famous, I only really watch the takeovers and Keith Lee matches.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say Keith Lee.
Yeah.
More Keith Lee.
I mean, did you watch the Keith Lee
Yes!
Dijakovic match? Yeah.
That Spanish fly.
Oh,
like
beautiful
jog on
stuff.
Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles with your double Spanish fly. Keith Lee's bigger than you put together.
it's great.
Oh, it was incredible.
I think it's going to benefit all the people that we just saw in the NXT Breakout tournament, none of whom really got over that well. Angel Garza did pretty well, but now he's gone to 205 Live, I think. So I think most of the other guys like Cameron Grimes, formerly Trevor Lee, I think people like him is going to be really benefit with having more screen time. So that's my answer.
I mean, you brought up 205 Live there. They just cancelled 205 Live, WWE.
Please.
And bring in that roster to NXT.
Yeah.
And then you can use that TV time to focus on them and probably cut a few people as well.
Yeah, and also maybe scrap the Cruiserweight Championship too.
You could still have that.
Have 3 titles in NXT?
It's going to be 2 hours.
3 men's singles
It's
titles?
going to be 3 hours probably by the time the end of the year.
Yeah. At Shroomraver, it's also an IRL friend of mine, says, when the next crop of NXT stars moves up to the roster, who will succeed and who will not, probably due to being poorly booked?
Well, Io Shirai they won't be able to book on the main roster
That's a
because
good
they'll
point.
just be paired with a white, natively English-speaking champion, manager, who will be booked. You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Adam Cole's going to be well booked. Oh, why did I say it?
I know! It's because we want to believe it.
For failure.
We
But I
want to
always-
believe it.
Always said the same thing about Ciampa and Gargano.
Yeah.
Always said the same thing about Bayley.
I said the same thing about Nakamura.
Yeah,
Like-
Nakamura. Bobby Roode. When Bobby Roode comes up, there's no way they're screwing it up because that entrance music will always be over.
They immediately ruined it by turning him face. Immediately ruined it.
Straight out the gate.
I think the person who will not succeed getting called up will be specifically Roderick Strong. I think if they call up Undisputed Era as a whole, I think Cole and Fish and O'Reilly could work as like a little unit, but I think they might try and push Strong out. Just got a hunch, a feeling. I think Matt Riddle's going to do well on the main roster.
Yeah.
Because he's got bro and it's marketable, so they'll like him.
Hey, Bayley headbands were marketable.
They were.
Look what they did.
I know. Daniel Partridge says, which is your favourite little bit of bubbly meme?
Luke played one to me yesterday where it was Homer weighing up dental plan and bubbly. It's that scene from The Simpsons where he's just going back and forth for ages.
Dental
That one
plan.
is
A little bit of the bubbly.
What about you?
I think mine's probably just got to be the Lou Bega Mama number 5.
That's really
It's
good.
so good, isn't it? It's probably my favourite still. Polymax7 says, who do you think eventually takes the NXT title off of Adam Cole? What do you think, Ollie, who watches NXT all the time?
Keith Lee. Can I just say Keith Lee for
Keith
any
Lee for
NXT
everything.
question?
I think it's going to be Matt Riddle.
Yeah, that would have been my pick.
Yeah.
From what I know about NXT, I'm gonna have to start watching it.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, you're not. You're watching AEW.
Yeah, but it's main roster now. It means something.
You're going to try and watch an extra 2-hour show every week. Good luck with
Two
that.
extra 2-hour shows
Yeah.
a week with AEW.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Let's have one more.
One more. Clark Travon says, is Baron his first name or his title? For example, the Duchess of Cambridge.
Oh, I see. Like, his name's just Corbin.
Yeah, but he's Baron Corbin.
Yeah. Corbin. I don't know. I've never really thought about it that way.
It's a very strange name when
I
you think
can't
about
unsee it now.
Yeah, I know.
Huh. I'm going to say it's his first name. Is Baron a first name?
I mean,
Is Baron a first
it could
name,
be in
Google?
WWE world.
No, it's you know,
It's
a
just-
denotion of nobility.
It's just...
No, we have got some people
got one there.
called Baron. It's it's a surname in Hebrew.
Okay.
It means son of strength.
Yeah.
Bar on. Son of
It's-
strength, vigor,
Mm-hmm.
potency.
I mean,
You know what? Most of these
they're all
are
surnames.
surnames.
Which
They are all
means
surnames.
they're all surnames. No, scroll down more. There you go. There's all your
There's not many though.
barons.
So
There's no Baron Corbin on that list, though.
there's a football. There's a Trump. The youngest son of Donald Trump is called Baron
Is that with a double R?
with 2 R's. Well, the more you know.
Weird.
Well, let's do some
Anywho.
Patreon shout-outs before we
Let's
get
do
out
that.
of here. Thank you. Join him, John Iowa. Woo! Yes.
Big bad Blake Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Martin Santoyo talking to me.
Santoya talking to me.
Santoyo talking to me.
There we go.
Hey!
Hey! The perfect storm. Noah Trombley.
Oh, thank you very much. Coordinator Travis Webb.
Woohoo!
Oh, yes.
I think he's talking to you, Damian Thompson.
I think he's talking to you. The monster among Patreons, Brian Strowman.
Woo!
Whoa, yes.
Ooh, Stream Slayer.
That's
That
my
weird.
word.
I know.
So handsome, he makes all the boys. Joe Ellis.
Hey,
pretty good.
it's very good. Shaun of the Dead Peril.
Whoa!
Woo, yes.
Now the problem there was that you said it as if there were more to come.
I know.
But that's all
I
the
realized
Patreons
that because I saw
Please
something else underneath.
click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things and press this button right here, which will get you onto WrestleTalk's Patreon, where you can get a shout out on the show too. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Chopper Pete, and that was Rambling.